Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's featured Reddit stories are from IDon'tWorkHereLady. We're going to start today's stories with a very short one that I thought was hilarious. That's never happened to me, but maybe it's happened to some of you guys because there were a lot of comment stories where people said that they went through similar things. First by Adam53185. I spent 10 minutes waiting for a cardboard cutout to help me. This may have been one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. Here goes. So, I was in Best Buy getting a gift for my sister's birthday. I wasn't able to find what I was looking for, so I began looking for an employee. I looked over and someone was wearing a Best Buy uniform, so I caught his eye and made a light gesture in greeting. I waited for about 10 minutes just to see if he would come and assist me, like some people expect. I get pretty anxious approaching strangers, especially store employees. So I waited, finding it odd that this guy was staying still. Eventually, I got tired of waiting and went up to the guy intending to ask him for help. This guy was a cardboard cutout. I had waited for 10 minutes for a cardboard cutout to help me. I died inside. Do not recommend. Don't worry, OP. With your little tiny head gesture trying to make eye contact with this guy, I'm sure nobody else noticed that you were doing this. You can be embarrassed about it, and it's hilarious to us, but I'm sure nobody else noticed. Down in the comments, somebody shared their own story, which is similar, but slightly different. By Equivalent Salary 357. Lol, this is kind of the opposite. I was standing outside the women's changing room waiting for my wife when a woman came up and stopped near me. She started switching her garments around in her arms, preparing to enter the change rooms, inching closer and closer to me as she did. Uncomfortable with how close she was getting, I moved away. She jumped back, startled, almost falling down. It turned out that she hadn't paid much attention and had thought I was a mannequin. Neither of those sort of incidents have happened to me, but I generally don't encounter a whole lot of cardboard cutouts. I know that's a big Best Buy thing. I don't really see the purpose of having a cardboard cutout there. Like, somebody standing there super stationary with a big smile on their face is a little weird to me. It's almost like they want to make it seem like they have people that are helpful without actually having people that are helpful there. Our next story is by NoProcess8360. Oh no, you're going to get me fired. So I went to our local grocery store to pick up several items. I wandered down the can aisle and this woman starts stomping her foot and pointing at a can. As I walked by her, my honest thought was this woman had mental health issues and was out with an aide. As I passed by her, she starts yelling, "Oh, are you just going to ignore me?" And I was. I had stopped to grab a few items off the shelf and she says, "Hey, yeah, I'm talking to you." We're the only ones in the aisle. So I point at myself and shrug my shoulders, assuming her worker will step in and stop this behavior. But no. She starts in with, "You need to grab this can for me. It's falling over." To which I replied, "I'm sorry, I don't work here." She fires back with, "Just because you're not clocked in doesn't mean you don't work here." No, that's exactly what it means, and even if I did, nobody answers to stomping feet. I figured I'd grab the bare necessities and get the heck out of there as she starts shouting that she's the #1 customer and I'm going to get fired for speaking to her like that. As I'm cashing out, I hear her berating the manager on duty and demanding I be fired for swearing at her, etc., and that her and her husband won't be treated like that. I told the cashier I was the one they were yelling about, and I wished them luck. There's normal people who will ask for help or smile at somebody and say, "Can you give me a quick hand with something?" And then there's people who just expect assistance. No matter how many millions of times they shop at a store, you're not entitled to special treatment. And if somebody is pointing at a can and stomping their feet trying to get attention, I hope they never get assistance. Unless, of course, they really do have some sort of mental health issue. And you never know. So you're stuck in a hard spot because the person could actually really need help and have some sort of mental issue and not just be a rude person who's stomping their foot and trying to get your attention. So you're kind of taking a risk by not helping them at all. This sort of thing just makes me want to turn around and be like, nope, not helping. If you're not going to ask nicely, I'm not helping you. You got to learn. This does not sound like a young woman. It sounds like somebody who's older. And if she still doesn't know, you have to approach people with some kind of kindness. She's not too old to learn. Our next story today is by whatever 53143. There's a lot of names with 5 digits in them today. Part of me wonders if bot armies started writing stories. When you work there, but don't. I have worked in retail my entire 30-plus year career. I was never the rat race chasing person choosing to marry young and raise my children. The only job I haven't done is waitressing, but worked other food industry jobs. I have also done the grocery delivery routine. My last job is one that's new to me. I'm a traveling merchandiser that goes to different stores. The local major drugstores are my biggest clients, CVS and Walgreens. I service the gift card displays, the Foster Grant sunglasses, Claire's children's jewelry, and scan and correct shelf inventory and signage. Like the grocery delivery service, I work completely independently, and all my work orders and duties are handled by my phone apps. I really like it. It's definitely different from what I am used to, and the flexible schedule is great. The biggest problem is I don't actually work for the stores I service, but I'm definitely front and center, and I do have a lanyard with my name badge. I get asked multiple times a day where things are, and I always refer them to actual store employees. I like to use the phrase, I'm kinda like the Pepsi guy. I'm a vendor, not an employee. Most people apologize unnecessarily and find the cashier. However, the very first week of my job I had to do the gift card reset. I actually liked these tasks and enjoyed setting up the displays at my other retail jobs. In comes a male Karen. I would say he's in his 70s. He sees me with my T-cart of fixtures and back tags. The gift card display is front and center facing the registers, so I'm directly in his field of view. He comes charging towards me and he has a list. I plaster on my customer service smile, but before I can say a word, he starts rambling about the things he's looking for. I abruptly say, very kindly, Sir, I don't actually work here, I'm an outside vendor, but the lovely cashier there will be able to assist you. Before I can finish my sentence, the man glares at me in the eye, then loud enough for the entire store to hear, says, F you, and goes on a rant about how no one will help him and how he just needs to get a few things and blah, blah, blah. I was pretty shocked, even though I had dealt with rude customers before. Of course, all the nearby store employees who were working in and around the seasonal aisles peek around the corner to see what was going on. They actually asked if I was okay. I shrugged my shoulders and thought to myself, I'm getting too old to put up with this crap. And seriously thought about just walking away and leaving. I'm in my mid-50s now, and my BS tolerance meter is running very low. Add that to the fact that my Gen X attitude is coming out in spades lately. At that point, I put on my big girl panties and carried on. The disgruntled man must have gotten his meds refilled because he was now fussing with the cashier in a more subdued manner. The front-end supervisor was scolding him like a teacher would call out a schoolboy for pulling a girl's ponytail. Lol. Sir, you can't talk to people that way. And that poor lady doesn't even work here, and she's just trying to tell you that. Cue in the sheepish mumbling. That made me giggle to myself because I was watching the interaction go down courtesy of the gift card display being in front of the registers. I have since developed a nice working relationship not only with the employees of that store, but all my stores that I work in. Out of this entire story, the only thing that people talked about down in the comments was this person's spelling of aisle. I'm curious if you guys notice it. I actually, when I was first reading it, didn't spot it at all. But it led to this nasty discussion with people going off on each other. Like, you work in retail for 30 years and you don't know how to spell aisle properly? It starts with an A, not an I. That's an island. Oh my gosh. I am normally all for people being grammatically correct or at least proofreading their stuff, but not when it's a fairly long story that's shared on Reddit. There's all sorts of errors in most of the stories that I read. And sometimes when it's a spelling error that would actually make me say the word differently, I'll try to fix it when I read it. These are stories people are sharing, and it's not always their first language, and sometimes they type on a phone and there's autocorrect trying to figure out the word for you. So it's forgivable, but I am curious if, while you guys were watching this on the screen, if anybody caught the spelling error, because I actually didn't this time. I didn't. And it definitely led to quite the, what's the word that Judge Judy likes to use? Kerfuffle down in the comments section. And no, I'm not going to share the kerfuffle. If you guys are ever actually interested in seeing the stories or the comments, you can Google Reddit and type in the title and it will pop up. Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, have a wonderful, warm Christmas and holiday season.